What's up? Who knows that I'm eating lunch? I actually haven't eaten lunch yet. How's everybody doing today? So we're going to do something a little different today. I actually tracked a song yesterday, or started tracking a song for a video. And I'm going to show you some, we're going to talk about some mixing here. We're talking about EQing, compression, and how to put together a track. So we have, the song is a song called Sun Shower by Chris Cornell. And we played it live. I did a couple extra overdubs of this resonator guitar because of, I did a couple extra overdubs because there was a lot of bleed on the resonator since we were all playing in the same room yesterday. So we have guitar, Rhett is playing guitar on it. GL, my assistant, is playing bass. Mac, my other assistant, I guess they're both my assistants, is playing drums. So I'm going to talk about how I put together a mix here and how I go about setting up my tracks. This is actually the first time I'm going to be listening to the tracks. We just finished it last night. We just did a couple overdubs a little bit ago. And I want to talk to you about EQing, compression, things like that. I'm going to use some of the things available to me, even though I've not done much of that on this particular computer. Can everyone hear me? No one's saying anything. Can you guys hear me okay? Yes? No? Can everyone hear me? Great. That was a pretty delayed response, I got to say. Loud and clear. Very good. Okay, I'm going to flip the screen over here. Let me move these two things over so I can see your comments. I'm going to have to move it over here. Then I'm going to go to here, and you guys are going to see this here. You're going to see my Pro Tools screen. Okay. So here's a take that we're talking about working with here. This is the kick drum. So essentially what we did is we recorded two overheads in an XY pair, a snare mic, and a kick mic. The kick mic is a, I think it's called an SF20. It's by Earthworks. The overheads are, I want to say SF25s by Earthworks. And the snare was their, I forget, it's an Earthworks microphone. They're all Earthworks microphones here. The bass was done through a DI. He actually played in the room on a bass with a bass amp. You'll hear some of the bleed in the speakers here. And I want to see where the acoustic is here. Acoustic, there we go. That's the acoustic. All right. So I have acoustic guitar. I got resonator. I'm going to hide that. Okay, so here's this. This is Rhett's two guitars here. So Rhett played. What I like to do when I have two microphones on a guitar is to, you guys can all hear me, right? You can hear me speak? Is to... So I like to combine these two microphones so that I can have a single point source. What you want to do, right now these two mics are split. They're in somewhat stereo. And what's going on, it's like the two separate speakers are being mic'd in a Fender Deluxe here, but I'm going to bounce them. I'm going to open up a new track. I'm going to call it Guitar Bounce. And I'm going to combine the two tracks. B and C. So I'm going to send these to both of these, let's say to 15. Okay, so I've gone to 15 with these. I'm put the input of this bus to 15. All right. And then I can listen to it. I already have a good blend on it. So what I want to do here, I actually could, I want to bounce it, but not in real time. Let me think here how I can do this. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to bounce it. Say ret guitar. Whoops, I can't spell guitar. That's what I'll say. Hold on. I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Bounce, ret guitar. I'm going to choose offline bouncing. Okay. And it's going to go into a bounce files folder right now. So it's bouncing not in real time. And I'm going to drag, I'm going to spot it in the session here. Okay, so I'm going to go to import. And I'm going to import. I'm going to go down to drive 8 is where I am here. That's where the session's on. Sun shower there. Bounce files. Ret's guitar. Right? New track. I'll put it on new track. Okay, so it says ret guitar here. Now it should be here. I don't see anything though. Oh, you know what happened? They're not going to the 1-2 bus. That's what I need to do. Sorry. Do it one more time. And have it soloed. So I'm going to take these off. We don't need this guitar bounce there. Take that off. I'm going to delete these 2 tracks. Delete that track. Track delete. Once again, I'm going to go guitar bounce. Ret's guitar. It's going to go to the bounce folder, and it's bouncing offline here. You guys all see this? Hold on. This is bouncing 35 minutes. I need to highlight the whole track there one more time. There, now it's bouncing faster. So I'm going to create a new track. It's going to put it right in the spot. It should work perfectly here. It's going to say, do you want it on a new track? When I import it, right? Bounce files right here. Boom. Whoops. Oh, hold on. There we go. See new track? There we go. So put it right here. So this right here is a bounce of these 2 tracks right here. 421, they've been blended already. Okay, so I can hide these 2 tracks. Now I have Ret's guitar track. There we go. That way I have 1 fader to deal with. Okay, I have acoustic guitar. Okay, but I'm going to start with the drums. Here's my kick drum. This is this Earthworks mic. Now, there's a lot of dynamic range in this, which is great. But what I want to do is I want to, I'm going to put something on it. Let's say I take an SSL channel. Okay. I'm going to compress it a little bit with a fast release. Okay. I'm going to put some EQ on it, a little top end. I'm going to take a little bit of mid-range out of it. Okay. Let me listen again. I guess are you guys not hearing this out of this thing here? Hang on. Playback engine. Yeah, I don't know why it switched here. I got to do this here. Give me a second. I think as I just restarted this session. You're going to hear it now. There we go. Much better. Okay, so now, that's my drums. That's my kick drum with a little bit of EQ on it. That's without EQ. That's with EQ. Now, I'm going to put all the 3 drum tracks through a drum sub. I have a drum sub right here. I'm going to assign the, let's say, assign it to bus 7 and 8, we'll say. I'm going to send these 3 tracks to bus 7 and 8. Okay, so then I've got one fader that's controlling the drums. You see now this is moving here. This drum sub is moving. So all the drums, so if I want to mute the drums, I just do that. Now the snare needs a little bit of help. I'm going to drag this down. Let me take a look here and see if there's any presets. I'm going to load, let's see, snare drum. That's bad, that's gated snare. Got way too much top end. Let me see if there's any other presets. Let's see, Chris Lord LG, snare 1. Here's without. Okay. Now I'm going to need to do the same thing with the overheads, except I'm going to, I'll see if there's a good overhead preset here. I'm going to solo overheads. So we have a lot of bleed in here. There's going to be some bass bleed. So I'm going to reduce the bass bleed here by ducking the low end out of it. I'm going to add a little bit of 1.5K here. Get a little bit of mid-range in there. That's better. Okay, so once again, let's take a little section here. Here's without any of the plugins. Now I'm going to put a compressor on the drum sub. I want to put something on that has a mix control, so I can do some parallel compression just to make the drums sound a little bit more even. Let's see what we got here. I got a bunch of stuff. Let's see here, dynamics. So I'll go like let me see what I got. I got this virtual mix rack. I've never tried this, really, to be honest with you. This is Steven Slate thing here. So it's got all these different, it's got a mix rack here. Let's see here. Let's see, what is this mix bus here? Emulates a summing of consoles. I want to get some compression here. That must be 1176. That's like a another FET compressor. That's a Blue Series 1176. This is a could be something like a SSL. I don't really know any of these compressors here. I know the SSL EQ. I don't like the fact that they name them different things like this, because you never really know what they are. What is this? Okay, let's try the Monster. Let's see what this does. Extreme dynamic. You guys all hear that? The kick is a little bit long. I'm going to gate it a little bit. Tighten it. When I take it off, listen. That just tightens it just a little bit. I'm going to make the release a little quicker. That's going to tighten the kick up so it doesn't last too long. That's pretty good. That's a lot better. So here's with no, this is with taking all the plugins off. Now I'm going to go to the bass. We have a good bass sound here. I'm going to bring down Rhett's guitar a little bit. See, we're hearing that bleed right there. That's all coming from the drum. That's Rhett's amp bleeding into the drum mics. So we're kind of... and then... I got a resonator guitar. I have a different one here. This is the one I played with the track. It's pretty good because you can, I want to compress a little bit. I'm going to compress it with an LA3A here. Just to control. It's not that dynamic. So this is all live here. Now I'm going to put the acoustic in on the other side. I'm going to bring this up next to the resonator. I'm going to hard pan it. That's going to need a little bit of help there. I'm going to do, let's see here. Let's see. I think I have a, let's see. I got a lot of things here I can use. It says that's not authorized. I'm pretty sure I own that. Oh, so I own the Legacy version, I guess. There we go. Let's see if they got an acoustic guitar setting. I don't think that they do. Do a little mid-range presence thing here. See what that. That thing is not really that interesting. I'm going to go back to this here. And see if I can compress a little bit. There's a little bit of mid-range honkiness in it. You can hear it right about there. And then I'm going to add a little 2.5K. Okay, so I don't really have any, that's a pretty good level there. I'm going to look at these here under my stereo bus meter here. You can see if I look at the bus meter here, or if I go to the, mix window here and I look at the master, check it out. You see the resonator's hitting a little harder? That's the way you can actually use your meters to check your levels in case you're, you know, depending on where you're sitting. I just made a group of the two. I got them relatively level. Now, what I want to do is I need to put some reverb on those guitars. They're bone dry. So I'm going to set up an aux. I'm going to call it verb. Let's see. I'll call it reverb. I give it an input. Let's see, 9 and 10. And then let me pull up a reverb here. Let's see here. Something like Lexicon 224. Something like that. Or maybe Ocean Way. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. All right. I'm going to solo that. I'm going to put a bus on each one of these, bus 9, 10. I'm going to bus them both over there. I'll leave them up at a good level. So right there it sounds like it's in a room, okay? Flub there that I want to fix. What happened to it? There we go. This acoustic's a little bit late. I'm just going to move it up there like that. See, even I make mistakes occasionally. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just got to be close. You can hear that little reverb on there, right? So that's an Ocean Way. Let me show you what a digital reverb might sound like. This is a Lexicon 224. This is a plug-in by, these are all by UAD. I think there's a little bit of late note right there I'm going to fix in that acoustic lick too. Yeah, so I'm putting the reverbs, I'm using one reverb for these guitars. Now, there's a lot of different ways that this can be done. You can use different reverbs for different things, but I'm going to use a different reverb for the snare drum here. I'm going to use that that plugin that I just had up though, the Ocean Way, if it'll let me do it. These are real processor, these are real hogs, this thing is. And this should put the snare in a room here. What I'm first going to do is, I'm going to call it reverb here. I'm going to put it on all the drums and see what it sounds like. So it sounds like it's in a bigger room. Everything was close mic'd here. So I'm thinking like, okay, that's too much. I'm just going to put it on the snare drum right now. Okay, I'm going to bus and just put the snare reverb on the snare. So it has a bunch of presets here. I'm going to go like drums 1. Let's see what that sounds like. Here's without it. Whoops. So one of the problems here is that I have so much bleed in here, in this, that I have to really figure out what to do with the snare. Since everybody's playing live, I can isolate the snare a couple different ways. So one of the problems here is that since we didn't mic the toms, it's a live track, I'm going to have to bring in that resonator here. That's going to actually add, because that's got bleed in it. So all the bleed that we have, like there's a vocal mic here that has no vocals on it that I'm going to unmute, and this is going to give me some more. That's going to give me some more room sound. I'm going to actually mute the Ocean Way room now and just see what happens. So this is this is just an open vocal mic. So it's going to so I'm going to call this drum room. This was pointing away from the drums. Now I'm going to bring it up here with the drums. So this isn't just, like I said, an open vocal mic. I'm going to put it through the drum bus here. Now there's a bad snare hit there that Mac played. I keep hearing everything. You can hear it right there. It's just a missed hit. It's right there. He just kind of biffed it a little. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it from there. I'm just going to cheat a little bit here. I'm going to grab a snare, copy and paste it. I'm going to put it right here where he kind of biffed the snare. I'm going to make sure it's in phase. And that'll cover that bad hit because he's playing the exact same thing. Since this is going to have the same, that's going to work better than this. Listen. Right? So I fixed that there. Now probably what I want to do here, I'm just a rough mix, and a lot of this is going to change once we put the vocals in here, but I'm going to take this reverb here, which is too long. I'm going to make it a room reverb. I'm going to bring it back there. Okay, let me see here. Now the snare's pretty good there. Although it's not, it sounds a little flabby. You hear that's another missed hit right there again? He missed the rim shot there. So he's doing this same fill there. I'm going to have to copy and see if I can make that work right there. See, we're cheating a little bit here, but... There's another missed snare hit there. It should be like this. Gotta make sure it's in phase. That's right about there. That should where it should be. There we go. That's a wah on the guitar, Frank. I saw your question there. That's Rhett playing a wah. Now, that's a good rough right there. That's a good rough. So this mic here is a room mic. Like I said, we're all playing together here. I'm gonna put some more compression on that. let's see here. I'm going to go drum. I'll put like a 1176 on it. Let's see here. That's just a room mic there. And I'm going to do a really quick release on it, 4-to-1 ratio. So here we go, listen. So right here, that mic is giving us a lot of the ambience in the room, having that one, just that one room mic there. It's making the drums pop. Okay, once again, here's my acoustics. I'm going to get the level. If I turn this down, okay, so I turned down the room mic here because you guys are you're also hearing this through my mic, which will make it sound kind of maybe a little bit phasey here, even though it's pointed away from the speakers, but I have to actually just mute. Sorry, I was talking there. Sorry. Okay, what I was just saying is I'm putting a bus compressor on here on the whole mix. I chose an SSL. This is an SSL that is from Universal Audio. Now, typically, a mixer is going to use a 4-to-1 ratio on the mix bus. Auto release is very standard. Most mixers are going to use that. But the attack is going to change depending on the on what the music is. So if I have a fast attack, it's going to engage the compressor really quickly. Listen. So it's going to sound really compressed. If I have a slower attack, you're going to hear more of the transients. So here's without it. That's without the bus compression. And with the bus compression. One more time, listen. So that's a pretty good start right there. This threshold, I don't have my all these tracks were recorded at a pretty low volume. What I could do is I could just raise so I get more level on the compression. I actually gonna just gain stage everything here and raise it all up a little bit, a few dB. So it's gonna hit my mix bus a little harder, and I'm gonna bring the mix bus down. See, it's hitting the compressor harder now. Now I'm going to back off. I'm going to back off in the threshold. I want to hit about 4 dB of compression. I'm going to change the attack here. So I overdid it with how much I brought I'm going to bring down the whole mix about 1.5 dB there. That's going to be pretty good. So one of the things is, so you've got your SSL mixed bus compressor here. You know, there's a lot of different possibilities in mixed bus compressors that you can have. You could have a Neve mixed bus compressor, like a 33609. Okay, so here, this would be a 33609 right here. Okay, it's going to have a different sound. So let's say I do a master bus. Let's say glue it together. Let's see what it sounds like here. Hear what it does on the cymbals? That one cymbal crash is really loud. That's the Neve. Here's the SSL. SSL sounds much better. Listen, here's an Neve again. I'm hitting about 4 dB of gain reduction, same thing. That's a Neve. SSL. SSL sounds a little bit more natural, I think. we have some inconsistent snare hits. If I go in and I look, I can see this is an inconsistent snare hit. Now, there's one there too. There's one here. But this is a good one. There. That's good. But that one's not a good one there. So I want to try and find one to replace that with. That's a great one there. So I'm going to go in here. I'm just going to grab it like that. Beginning of the sample. Or beginning of the hit. I'm going to go in on this one here. Replace this. This is going to make it sound a little bit. You can see the difference there. That's a much better hit snare right there. So I'm going to quickly scan through here and see if there's any other weak hits. And when I get to this part, because Maxton's playing a lot harder here, you can see that these snares are much more consistent in volume. He's purposely playing quietly because we're all tracking live in the room. And that's the only way that you're gonna, you gotta play with dynamics, especially when we have very few mics on the drums like this, you know? So that's a pretty good start of putting together a mix. Now, we have no vocals or anything. There's no other overdubs. But that's kind of where I would start. I like that bus compressor. I've got some other ones here that I could try if I, you know, like I could do a Stephen Slate bus compressor here. If I go into dynamics and then go down to the bottom like this, for, like the red bus compressor, for example, which is like a Focusrite red. That's what Chris Lord-Alge uses. If I do a 4:1 ratio on it like that, it's got auto release. Here's the SSL. Focusrite. You can hear that Focusrite's really clamping down on the snare drum, right? Which you don't really want. The SSL sounds the most natural. That sounds better. So I'm going to say that I'm going to stick with that for now. What I'll continue to do is go through and I'll continue. I'm going to make sure that the compression, as I add more things in, I'm going to have to back off the threshold on the compressor because it's still hitting the compressor too hard. Now, if I did a release, like a quick release here and a slower attack, So you got to really hear it with the vocals in. That's what's going to make it, that's where you're going to kind of know what you have here. Once the vocals are in, there's a couple more guitar overdubs to go through and add. So this is a Chris Cornell tune called Sun Shower. And my buddy Jason's going to come in and sing it tonight. And I'm going to use it in a video. So it's tricky to record with everyone in the same room because you have all these mics doing things, getting you get phasing going on between them. You got all these open microphones. The door was open, so Rhett was playing without headphones. Everybody's playing without headphones. So you kind of have to, kind of self-balance, I guess you would call it. So you listen to everyone and you say, okay, is this too loud? So Rhett had to adjust the volume of his guitar in the room. He's in an ISO booth, but the door was open, knowing that it's going to be picked up by the overheads. So Mac wants to be able to hear everyone here and make sure that the level is balanced. And I had GL, my assistant. He basically set up the engineering of it, but he was playing bass on it at the same time. So we're all in one room. We had a bass amp in the room. It's very tricky for this, but we wanted to get a live take. So we have a live take, and it's all on video. So it'll be cool. It's going to be a good video. Harry asked, "What about licensing on covers?" I don't know. I'm not sure how they do that. If YouTube handles it. They just demonetize it if it's if that's the rule with it. They all have different. If you go in and you can look it up, I'm sure this one, sometimes the licensing is that you split it with the people, sometimes that they get all the publishing on it, or sometimes they get all the ad revenue from it. It's not publishing. So we'll see what happens with it. I think this is going to be really interesting, though. When you see the video of it as we're playing it, it's interesting to see together. So I'm looking forward to getting that. What if you wanted to release it on iTunes? Well, that would be another thing. Then you'd have to get permission for that. But it's kind of like anybody that does covers on YouTube. They they'll demonetize. It's all done by the copyright, the ID algorithm that they have on YouTube. So if it identifies your song, then it monetizes it to the correct artist. It depends on how well, how accurate your song is. Ours is pretty accurate with the track, with Sun Shower, so we'll see what happens with it. But this is for What Makes This Song Great. So I'm going to be using the real tune, and I'm going to be using the cover of it. And I'm kind of trying to experiment with actually performing a song and talking about the version of it, which I think is going to be really interesting. I think you guys will like this. It was tricky to learn because there's a lot of parts in this tune. A lot of parts. I'll be having another lesson coming up on the Beato Club today, video lesson. Not a live stream, but an actual lesson. I've got another theory lesson that I'll be putting out later today. So that's it. You guys are awesome. Sorry I went on a little long today. I couldn't help it. Did I decide on the GitCon talk title? Frank, I've got to go back over all that stuff from the other night. Man, there were some great titles. You had some great titles there, from what I remember. I got to go back and look through the and look through the comments on the stream, because there were, I mean, it was just amazing how many good titles there were. Best way to minimize drum bleed and vocal mics in a situation like yours, record the vocals in a separate room. We had Jason, so we have multiple takes of the song where Jason's singing. I'll be cutting from multiple takes. You'll see in the I don't have his tracks in right now, so but you'll see him because we did live. There's takes where he's singing live, which is really cool. So anyways, you guys are amazing. We'll talk a little bit later. Look out for a new video here on the Beato